This is the July 2005 CSR. I am the plaintiff attorney, Mr. Green.
I am the witness.
I am the court.
For the defense, Mr. Baker.
Proper names coming up in the body of the test. Lisa Perez, Judge Benton, Los Angeles, Orange County, Brenda, Ron Perez, Michael Watson.
Ready, begin. Counsel, are we ready to proceed this afternoon?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. We are ready to call our next witness.
Is the defense ready?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you for allowing the late start today. I did advise Judge Benton that I was engaged in trial here. His clerk might be calling later.
You mean he is going to be checking up on you?
Apparently so.
All right, let's bring the jury in and then you can call your next witness.
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
The record may reflect the jury has now rejoined us.
Yes, Your Honor. The people call Lisa Perez to the stand.
Please step forward to be sworn, ma'am. Please state your name and spell it for the record.
My name is Lisa Perez, P-E-R-E-Z.
Thank you. Proceed.
Mrs. Perez, thank you for coming in today. I have some questions for you. Please speak clearly and loudly so we can all hear what you have to say.
All right.
If you don't understand anything that I'm saying, please let me know immediately and I will clarify it for you. Does that sound okay?
That's fine. No problem.
Now, I wanted to ask you some questions about the date of December 15 of last year. Where were you residing as of that date?
I lived in Los Angeles last year.
Do you still reside there presently?
No. I have relocated from that apartment and now I live in a house somewhere else.
You aren't required to give us the address, but are you still in the area?
Yes, I am. I moved to a house in Orange County.
Are you employed at the present time?
Absolutely. I am working in an office during the day, and I also work on the weekends in a department store.
On December 15 of last year, were you working on that date?
Yes, I was.
What were your hours on that date?
My hours are 9 to 5. That day, it was the same.
Was there something that happened on December 15 that was not normal for you?
Objection, vague.
Sustained.
On December 15, what time did you arrive at work?
I usually get there about 8:30.
Objection, non-responsive.
Sustained.
On that specific day, what time did you arrive at work, if you remember?
I got there about 8:30.
Okay, when you arrived early that day, did you go into the building, or what happened?
I was in my car in the parking lot, and I was waiting for Brenda to open the office.
Who is Brenda?
She is the office manager, and she usually comes in before I do. She has the keys to the door, and she opens up the place.
Did Brenda open up the office that day?
Yes, she did.
After you both had gone into the office, what happened then?
I just went about my business to get things ready for the day. We had a lot of appointments that day, and it was going to be busy.
Okay.
We had several big accounts coming in that day.
Objection, no question pending.
At this point, sustained. Next question, please.
Could you briefly tell us what your employment position is and what you do for the office?
Yes. I am the person in the office who completes the billing for the accounts.
What type of business is it?
Objection, irrelevant.
Overruled.
It is a property management business.
Now, did something unusual happen on that morning after you had arrived at work?
Yes, it did.
Explain to us what happened.
We had only been in the office for a short time and my cell phone went off. I had forgotten to set it on silent that morning.
Did you answer your telephone?
No, I didn't answer it then and figured I would check the messages later. My supervisor doesn't like people to take personal calls at work unless it's an absolute emergency.
Is your cell phone the type where you are able to see who is calling before you actually answer it?
Yes, it is, but I didn't open it up to look. I just let it ring in my bag and thought I would check it later. I went over to turn the volume down so it wouldn't ring again and disturb anybody.
When you retrieved your phone, did you subsequently notice if you had any messages?
Yes, the display showed a message, but I really didn't know who it was from.
Did your supervisor make any comments to you about that incident?
Objection, hearsay.
No, not yet. You can answer yes or no.
No, he didn't say anything to me.
Did you receive any other calls that morning?
Yes, I did, but not on my personal phone.
Ma'am, when did you receive the next call that day?
It was only about 20 minutes later I received a page that I had a call.
What exactly do you mean you received a page? Is this your cell phone again?
No, the receptionist telephoned me at my desk.
You don't have a direct line to your office?
Yes, I do, but this call came from the receptionist. There is a central office number, and if you dial that number, then you are talking to the receptionist. If you dial somebody's direct line number, then the call just comes directly to their office.
Who was the call from?
From my husband, Ron Perez.
Is that the defendant in this matter?
Yes, that's correct.
Do you see your husband here in the courtroom today?
He is right there sitting at the table next to his attorney.
The record may reflect the witness has identified the defendant.
Thank you, Your Honor. Did you speak with the defendant that morning on the phone?
Yes, that's correct.
Now, you testified that you are never allowed to have any personal calls while you are working. Does that only apply to receiving incoming calls on your cell phone, or would it also apply?
No, it doesn't matter where they call. It's just a working thing where the boss doesn't want you talking on the phone when you should be doing your duties.
Yes, I understand.
I mean, it's not like somebody is standing there staring at you or something the minute the phone rings.
That was going to be my next question. When you do receive a personal call, what actually is the procedure for taking that call?
Objection. It's irrelevant what they normally do. It only matters what happened that morning.
Well, I agree, but the objection is overruled at this time. You may answer the question.
You can take the call, but it is just like a working situation. The boss doesn't want you talking on the phone all day while you should be working. That's basically it, really.
Did you have a conversation with your husband sometime that morning?
Yes, that's correct.
What was the basis of the conversation?
He wanted to know why I didn't answer my phone immediately and why I hadn't called him back.
Was it your husband who had called earlier that morning?
Yes, he said he left me a message, and why didn't I answer his message?
What happened then?
He just continued yelling at me and told me that I would be sorry if I didn't answer his calls in the future.
What did you respond to him?
I told him we could always discuss it later, that I was working and couldn't really talk to him anyway.
Did that seem to satisfy him?
He continued to keep yelling louder and got more agitated. I told him I was going to have to really hang up because my supervisor was getting angry with me.
Was that truthful?
No, he wasn't even there yet.
Is this Brenda you are talking about?
No. Brenda is only the office manager. I guess she is one of my bosses in a way. I consider the gentleman who owns the company to be my supervisor, and that's who I was talking about with my husband.
What is his name?
Michael hired me.
What's his full name?
Michael Watson.
How long has Michael been your supervisor?
Oh, he is the gentleman who hired me. I started to work there about 7 years ago, and that's who hired me.
Okay. Was Brenda present when you received this particular call from your husband?
Correct. She was working. She wasn't standing next to me, but she was in the same room as I was.
Do you know if she overheard the conversation?
Objection. Speculation.
I believe she did.
Objection. Move to strike.
Sustained. The answer is stricken. The jury is admonished to disregard the answer.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Did Brenda make any comments to you during this conversation?
No.
So you relayed to your husband that you have to hang up because your boss was upset. What happened then?
He said that he wanted to talk to me and he would come and see me in person if I wasn't going to be talking to him.
What did you do then?
I said I needed to go and that I would speak to him later.
Did you hang up the receiver?
Definitely, I did.
Mrs. Perez, do you follow a set lunch schedule at work?
No, not particularly. I mean, I don't usually go out to lunch anyway. Oftentimes, I eat in my office and usually try to get some billing statements finished. It depends on how busy we are.
That morning, did you have plans with anybody for lunch?
Correct. Brenda and I were going to go out to a new taco place that had just opened up down the street.
What time was your lunch hour that day?
Brenda wanted to leave about 1 o'clock because then any potential crowd would probably be gone at the restaurant. Since we didn't have any time problems, we decided to wait for any crowd to die down.
What time did you leave for lunch?
We left about 1 o'clock.
Is this a restaurant you had to drive to, or is it within walking distance?
We just casually walked over there. It is close enough to walk.
Did something unusual happen at the taco place?
Well, the defendant quickly approached our table and started yelling at me.
Who was present at that time?
It was just me and Brenda at our table, but the place was still kind of crowded.
How many people were in the taco place right then?
Objection. No foundation. Speculation.
Sustained.
Do you know how many people were there when you were there?
No, I don't know for sure.
Could you give us an estimate of how many people were present?
Objection. Irrelevant.
Overruled.
I would say there were about 20 people there when he came in.
Did you have a conversation with the defendant at the restaurant?
If you want to describe it that way. It was mostly the defendant yelling at me, and my telling him to be quiet. I would talk to him later. I asked him to leave us alone and I would telephone him later.
How did he respond to that?
The defendant said he was going to patiently wait for me outside and perhaps I needed to hurry up and finish eating.
Did he subsequently leave the restaurant?
Yes, that's correct.
Did you observe where the defendant went?
No, I couldn't see out into the parking lot from where I was sitting.
Did you ultimately finish your meal, or what happened?
Well, Brenda initially said we should just leave and then
Objection, hearsay.
Sustained.
What did you do after that happened?
we finished our lunch and ultimately returned to the office.
Did you observe the defendant any more that afternoon?
No, I didn't.
He wasn't actually waiting for you in the parking lot, as he had said?
No, I didn't see him. If he was there, I didn't see him.
Then did you return to work and finish out your day there?
Yes, Brenda and I returned back to work and I just had lots to finish up that afternoon. I had a lot of filing to do and I wanted to get it done before I left that afternoon.
Did you have any more conversation or contact with the defendant that day or evening?
No, I didn't hear from him again until the next morning.
Did you have any discussion with Brenda about what had transpired that day?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled. You may answer yes or no.
Yes, I did.
What was that discussion?
Objection. May we approach sidebar?
All right, on the record, please.
Your Honor, I object to any of this discussion that the question called for on the grounds of hearsay.
That would be sustained. It is hearsay.
I believe it falls in the category of an exception to the hearsay rule. If the victim makes statements right after the event happens, I believe that conversation comes in. Whatever conversation she had with Brenda would be admitted based on that.
What is the time lapse here? I don't think that we have enough information yet.
Well, I don't want it to come out in front of the jury, Your Honor.
Let's release the jury on a break and then we can conduct a hearing with the witness.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ladies and gentlemen, the attorneys and I have some business to conduct that's not going to require your presence. The jury is on break for 10 minutes. Everyone is ordered to return at that time. Thank you. The record should reflect the jury is no longer present. Do you have any questions for the witness?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Your Honor. Mrs. Perez, you testified that Brenda was present with you at lunch. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Was Brenda also present when you had the telephone call at work before lunch?
Correct. She was in the same office I was.
Did she overhear your end of the conversation that morning on the telephone?
Yes, she did. She knows we have really been having trouble for a while. It was not a secret.
Did you have any discussion with her in the office before you left to go to lunch?
Yes, we did.
Your Honor, I believe this hearing was regarding the conversation that was between the witness and Brenda at the restaurant. That was the objection that was given.
Counsel?
Yes, Your Honor, that's correct. But since the objection was the same grounds, I believe I can cover them both.
Objection overruled. Let's continue. Okay, next question, please.
Did you have any discussion in the office before you left for lunch?
Correct.
What did you say to Brenda, and what did Brenda say to you?
Brenda asked me if I wanted her to call anybody or let somebody know what was going on.
How did you reply?
I assured her I was okay, that I was certainly used to it.
Used to what?
To his being very angry for just about everything.
Did you have any other conversation at the office before you went to lunch?
No, that was basically it.
At the restaurant, what was the discussion that you had after the defendant left?
I basically apologized to her for the fight. She said not to worry about her, that she was more concerned about me.
And what did you say?
Nothing other than I was sorry.
And how did Brenda respond to you?
She just believed that we should call the police or have the owner call the police. She didn't want to go outside if he was waiting for me.
Did you ask anybody to call the police for you?
No, I didn't believe it was necessary. I have always just ignored his problems. He has been angry for many years, and I just tried to forget.
Did you have any more discussion with Brenda at the restaurant?
Not really. She just wanted to notify the police, and I said no.
Nothing further.
Do you have any questions while the jury is gone?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Were you upset at the time you were talking to Brenda in the restaurant?
Not really. I mean, I was embarrassed that he did that, but there was nothing that I could do.
How much time elapsed before you started talking to Brenda?
I don't understand your question.
At the restaurant after the defendant left, how much time passed before you started talking with each other?
It was immediately after he left. Brenda said that she thought we should notify somebody and try to get someone to walk us back to work or drive us back.